Why don't we just
So,
send them back to their parents in Guatemala?
right, right.
I
That
mean,
never happens. That never
why
happens.
doesn't that
Even
happen?
if the kids want to go back, that never happens. Even, yeah. So we know that there are reporters that have gone out there and found these children. And, again, and I'm not speaking about this from personal experience. This is what I've heard from other folks that have gone out there to try to locate these children. The children are saying that they want to go back, but nobody will send them back.
Why won't they send them back?
I don't know. I can't say. They
I
will not
mean,
send them back because well, for the kids, like they're typically with the labor trafficker, right? They're typically with a trafficker that person's not going to send them back, right? And so what investigators that are on the ground, finding these kids, they're saying that they're trying to get themselves in trouble, get themselves arrested so that so that they can get deported.
oh,
That's what
geez.
I've been hearing. Yeah.
So is it because they've made an asylum claim from the beginning and there's a bunch of legal hoops once you make an asylum claim? Is that the issue?
No, no, because every single one of these kids doesn't have an asylum claim. Most of them don't. The vast majority don't.
So
You
why
have to
don't we
try
just
very,
send them
you have to
back?
work,
I mean,
right. Right. I couldn't answer you that, but I mean, I can tell you that, there's not money to be made when you send them back. The money
yeah.
to be made, by the NGOs, by the contractors, all of these people that are profiting off the backs of these kids, um, you know, in order to stay in business, it's not a good business model if we end up spending a ton of money sending them back. Obviously, they should go back to their parents.
Right.
If their parents are not, disqualified from being, decent moral parents, right? Then they should absolutely go back to their parents. Like
Well,
if they're saying they want to go back,
they're slightly
right? I hear
disqualified by
you.
letting their
I hear
kid
you.
already go all the way
Letting
to
it,
the,
right.
yeah. But
Correct,
still,
correct. But a lot of them are defrauded. Like a lot of them are making a really hard life decision. So I try to put myself in their shoes
yeah.
because the automatic thing that I do myself is that, I've got children that are precious to me, right? And I would do anything to protect them. And I can't fathom letting them, do a journey, with a coyote that may abuse them, right? I can't fathom that. So I try to put myself in the shoes of these people that are, poorer than poor. A lot of them talk
Yeah.
about, they have houses made from wood. They say tableta, right? Or tablon. They're just wood, cardboard houses. Sometimes
Hmm.
not cardboard, but wood houses with like an aluminum or tin roof, right?
Yeah.
And so they're in very poor conditions. Sometimes with like 10 siblings. And so I try to put myself in the shoes of this parent. Like, okay, they sent a couple of their older kids, to go work in America because they know they're coming here to work. There's no other reason why they would send their kid, right? They either sell the kid, they're selling them, or they're sending them in order to send money back home,
Right.
right, for a better life. But they're
Right.
but they're sold this fake bill of goods, right? Because we know that they had a trafficking operation out of Huehuetenango, Guatemala, right? And they were doing radio ads and they were knocking on doors trying to get children to come to the U.S., right? Because it's a lucrative business for these people, okay? And so we know that they'll tell the parents, a great story like I talked about earlier. You're going to make a ton of money. You're going to be able to send money home to your parents, and you're going to have a great life. You're going to America. I mean, that's amazing, right? And so they sell them this fake bill of goods, and a lot of these people are not all of them, but some of them don't even speak Spanish. They speak the native languages, like Quiche, Mayan dialects, and so they don't even speak Spanish. Some of these kids, I could hear them. Some of the kids actually speak Spanish, but the parents don't. So they would be talking to them, in their native language. So these people don't really, some of them don't have contact with it, with, outside world. Some of them have just, they've had a door, someone knocked on their door and offered them an opportunity. So they trust people. They're naturally more trusting,
Mm.
right? Because they don't hear from, these horror stories about things that happen in the outside world. So they're very trusting of people. That's what we found with a lot of these, native kids that speak these dialects, that they just trust people. They just
Yeah.
trust people, right? And we saw the other end of the spectrum. We saw some kids that were so abused they wouldn't look you in the eye. They had, the like hood over their head, won't look you in the eye. And then it's not till after meeting a few times with the case manager that they establish a little bit of trust, and they'll open up a little more and explain they did get raped, or and they need help, but they won't ask for it
Yeah.
because they don't trust people. They just don't trust people. They've been so hurt, they just don't trust people anymore.
I mean, I could understand a parent's desire for a kid to have a better life. I mean, my
Mhm.
family's from Vietnam. There was a lot of stories of after the war, or even right when the war was going on, where mothers would send their babies, they would try to get their babies to America, knowing that
Yeah.
they would potentially have a better life than what they would have there. And, it's a very terrible and challenging decision for a parent to leave their
Yes.
kid behind, or to take or send their kid away in hopes for a better life. But that is, unfortunately, that is actually quite common in the world, is to have that sort of mentality for your kid. And I would imagine from the parents' perspective that, they know it's easier for the kid, and they're also hearing that it doesn't help that there's a bunch of Guatemalans living here in the United States now who then go home to visit. I mean, I know a bunch of them here in LA. Many of them contractors on my house, for example, and I'll ask them, do you go back home? And they, oh yeah, once a year I go back home, right? So they fly home, they tell the stories of America, how well they're doing. They've got money
Yeah.
when they go down there. They're bringing
Right.
that with them. People see that. They see that there is a legitimate, better life for them in America, because they're seeing that from the people coming to
Sure.
visit. And they recognize that it's easier for the kid to get in at 15, 16, 17 than if they're an adult, right? It's the
Yes.
process they're probably told is, look, now's the time. And,
Yes.
15, 16, 17 in developing world is an adult. Here in the United States,
Yes.
here in the United States, I think anything up to 25 is not an adult.
Yeah,
But
no, I'm with you on that.
but in developing countries, kids grow up earlier. 15 is an adult in a lot of these
Yeah.
countries. They have
Yes.
lived lives much different than the average
Yes.
American 15-year-old. So it is not the same comparison.
Right.
But they do have the benefit of the United States not categorizing a person as an adult until they're 18 years old.
Yes, exactly, exactly. And so I tried to put myself in their shoes, and I think back onto, even like, the disaster when, they pulled our troops, out of Afghanistan.
Yeah,
People were throwing their babies
right,
across the
right.
fence. I have a friend, a dear friend who is a Marine who was there, and he was literally catching these babies as they were throwing them over. And the sad thing is that they can't take them. They'd have to go and hand them to someone else that may not have been the person that tossed the child
Gosh.
over the fence to begin with. So I've never seen this man cry, and this is one story that will make him cry. Is he had to he was looking for the person who tossed the baby over, couldn't find it, had to hand the baby back. And so I try to put myself in their shoes, in their desperation, trying to find a way to avoid whatever horrors they may feel that they're facing at home in country. And I try to understand that because from my American perspective, right, I'm just like, I would protect my child at all costs. I would
Right.
never send them, but I try to look at it from their perspective as
We
well.
live in privilege, so it's difficult to,
Yes. Yes, we do.
to really truly put ourselves in other people's shoes when we have a nice cozy life.
Much abundance. Yeah.
Yeah, we have a lot of
Yeah.
abundance, so we wouldn't imagine to do that. But I still think these kids should be sent back to their parents. I mean,
Yes.
if they can't get sent to, if you can't verify that the person they're going to is one of their parents or a close family relative, like a grandparent
Right.
or an aunt or an uncle,
Yeah.
legitimately through DNA testing or
Right.
something, I don't know.
Absolutely. DNA testing is mandatory. That's what they should be doing. They used to do it. I don't know why they stopped doing it, but they stopped. The Border Patrol was told to stop doing it, right? And that's really the only way. Like, if they're not going to stop this program, which obviously invites people to come because we have this program. It's easy. Like, people know that there's no recourse. There's no repercussions.
And they
For
never send you
crossing the
back.
border.
So, I mean,
Right.
you're
And they don't
in.
send you back.
Yeah.
Exactly. So it's an incentive to come, really.
Yeah.
So, but if they're going to do that, like with children specifically, they need to do DNA testing before they send them to anyone. There has to be some sort of familial, relationship there. It doesn't guarantee they're not going to abuse the kid,
Right.
right? But I mean, that's just a baseline measure that we can take to say, at a minimum, you have to be related in order to send your kid to a person in the United States. That's the only solution. There's no proper vetting. Vetting can't happen, right? Because when you're trying to vet someone or do a background check on someone who may have only been here a few months, they're not going to have criminal history here, right?
Yeah.
And typically the names that these organizations are putting forward, because we know they're most of it's trafficking. So they're going to put forth someone that's going to come up clear, you know, in a sex offender registry, right?
Yeah.
Anyways, it's useless to do a background check, you know, here in the U.S. But I would say even doing a background check like in country doesn't guarantee anything. It just means, you know, they're probably a labor trafficker with a clean record. You know,
But at least a
that
DNA test. I mean, look, like,
DNA
you
test
know,
is
right.
should be mandatory.
Yeah.
Yes,
Because
there's
at
no reason
least,
why they stopped doing it.
yeah, at least we'd know they would be going to a family member. Maybe the family member's a criminal, the family member's done XYZ thing. Okay, but at least they're with a family member at minimum
Right.
rather than being, you know, with MS-13 or some other trafficking situation.
Right. Right. Yeah. So that's really the only solution is to do the DNA testing. The only short-term solution, anyways,
How long
is
would
to do
that
the DNA.
take? Do you know how long a DNA test would take?
I don't. They have rapid DNA tests. I don't know
Mm,
how rapid they are, but
yeah.
I want to say it's pretty instant. You know,
Well,
it's
I mean,
like
they've
same
got the
day or
kids for
next
10
day.
to 20 days, right? So, I mean, you have
Right.
time from the very
Yes.
beginning to get this done.
Absolutely.
Hey guys, thank you so much for watching this clip from the full Kim Iverson show. That's right, this is just a clip. If you want the full show, you can go to KimIversonShow.com and you can watch Monday through Friday, 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern for about 1 hour. It's totally free. Check it out, KimIversonShow.com. Thanks for watching.